Qtum itself is a combination of Bitcoin and Ethereum technology. From Bitcoin, we derive the basic transaction architecture blocks. From Ethereum, we have smart contract functionality.
So how does it compare to Ethereum now? Because Ethereum already moved to proof of stake. How is the token initially distributed? How do you think the community should interact with the maximalist movement? Welcome, John. Very pleased to have you here. If you can introduce yourself and also Qtum,
Sure, and nice to be here today and talking with you. So thank you for the invitation. My name is John Beyler, and I'm a senior researcher with Qtum Foundation, and I also have some management roles in our North American operating company. Qtum itself is about a 5-year-old blockchain project now. It launched in September of 2017 with various test nets before that. It's been running for the last 5 years through a number of upgrades, several hard forks, and other improvements. Qtum itself is a combination of Bitcoin and Ethereum technology. So from Bitcoin, we derive the basic transaction architecture blocks, and most notably the UTXO model for transferring value. And then from Ethereum, we have combined smart contract functionality with the Ethereum virtual machine. Currently, that's EVM1. So all the mechanics of smart contract execution with gas and being able to write smart contracts that can do virtually anything, principally these days NFTs. And we also last year introduced some functionality to have delegated staking. I should also say just right at the start here that Qtum started as a proof of stake chain and has been running proof of stake ever since.
It didn't change, for example, for Ethereum, it was a proof of work, then it changed it to proof of stake, but for Qtum, it's just started directly to proof of stake. So
that's
it's
right.
Like a pioneer, actually, compared to others.
Yes.
I hear this fascinating idea when I was also researching about it, combining Ethereum and Bitcoin. It's a very interesting idea because both of them are very popular and obviously for basic reasons, they have actual good qualities in their utility. Ethereum have a lot of advantages over Bitcoin in a lot of aspects, for example, as you mentioned, the proof of stake aspect right now, for example, and previously, obviously, the smart contracts and whatnot. So how does it compare to Ethereum now? Because Ethereum already moved to proof of stake. So how would you compare the two?
Yeah, so Ethereum did move to proof of stake recently. Let me think. One comparison I can make is so that a smart contract written for Ethereum can run virtually unchanged on Qtum chain. Some of the parameters need to be tweaked a little bit, but otherwise, both blockchains run Solidity language.
So basically,
to allow for
a
smart
developer
contract.
makes an application, like a decentralized application for Ethereum. It can basically work seamlessly on your blockchain as well. But
yes,
but
right.
that means there is for example, do you need also a bridge between the two, or how does this work? For example, if someone wants to interact between the two blockchains,
well, yeah, it would take a bridge, which there's some being worked on, but none set up right now.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was trying to say there was that a Solidity language smart contract could run
basically
on either blockchain. A difference is in the transactions per second.
Mm-hmm.
And even though Ethereum recently switched to the beacon chain, since they don't have sharding operating, they're still running, I believe, in the same transactions per second range as they have historically, which is in the, 15, 20 transactions per second.
You mentioned in the introduction about the gas fees, that it has a similar gas fees structure, but for the cost of the gas fees, everyone was complaining about Ethereum, and even now after they moved, I don't believe it has changed much in the costs. So is the Q2 I'm sorry, should I say quantum or QTIUM?
Quantum, we usually say quantum.
Okay, so would quantum solve this issue? Because I know that the fees for the transactions is very low on a quantum blockchain. But why do you think Ethereum doesn't follow this model? Is this like a technical challenge that has already been solved by quantum, or this is just a decision, matter of decision that Ethereum haven't made it? Like how do you make a very low transaction fees while using the similar technologies or a similar system to Ethereum's?
Transactions fees are based on two things, I guess, the architecture of the fee mechanism, and then also the amount of usage. So if blocks are being heavily used for smart contracts, then the transaction fees will go up. So when Ethereum gets very busy, the fees go very high, and people have a lot of complaints about that. Same way with quantum, when we have some busy periods for airdrops or whatever, then our fees will go up as well. We do have some interesting innovation with respect to gas fees. Quantum has some technology in the blockchain called decentralized governance protocol that allows us through smart contracts to change the gas pricing parameters. So if we are to find out that the minimum gas price or the maximum amount of gas per block is not working for us, or even the gas schedule, which is the charge for individual transactions in a smart contract, if any of those aren't meeting current conditions, we can, using this decentralized governance protocol with a set of 4 smart contracts, we can change those parameters to sort of fine tune the gas pricing structure in quantum based on the current market conditions.
So because of this,
sorry,
this is obviously done automatically because of the smart contract.
That's right. It can be done without a hard fork. So it makes it.
I mean, like the execution of such operation is automatic, or does it have require manual intervention from the foundation?
It does require a manual intervention through a voting process of governance participants, but some other.
How often does this process take place?
Well, it could take place at any time. We haven't used it yet. We've had some adjustments of block size in the history, and we've had some adjustments of the block reward for the standard transaction fees, which is there's really 2 parts of fees for the blocks. There's
governors. It's just like not only the foundation, but also the other validators on the blockchain. So it's a bit like democratic.
Yeah, it could be set up that way. Yes, we haven't.
But
we haven't actually
only.
We haven't needed to execute one yet.
I see. Okay. So how about the decentralization level of the blockchain? A lot of decisions maybe is taken by the foundation, but how about the distribution, for example, for the token? How is the token initially distributed between the foundation and other shareholders or other stakeholders?
Oh, that was in 2017. Let's see if I can remember that. 51% of the tokens were distributed in a crowd sale to the community. So a little over half of it was distributed.
How about the other half?
The other half was a breakdown between early investors, the development team, and then some, maybe I forget the numbers exactly, 19% was used in marketing and promotion and research, sort of day-to-day operations.
Like, is this fund for the marketing still available, or it's already been used?
Well, they've been fully invested and fully deployed, and they're still used by the marketing department for contests and promotions and things.
Is there like a fund for development or like for developers?
Yes, there is. Yes, and we have a program of grants that we can use to provide for developers.
So developers can, for example, propose an app, and then they will get the grant if their app matches.
Yes, and there were a number of those done in the first wave of apps in 2018.
I see.
Yes.
How about for the like for the maximalist? Like, because you see a lot of people, newcomers to the space, they will be fixated, for example, let's say on Bitcoin, and they will say smart contracts doesn't, for example, doesn't have that much value in the world. We just need that asset. So how do you think the community should interact with the maximalist movement? Do you ignore it and focus on a different sector of the space, or is there a chance to also like expose this newcomers to the space to other blockchains like Quantum?
I'm not sure. Our quantum blockchain has value transfer capabilities with the coin, and so it attracts investors and traders. It's fairly active trading coin on the big exchanges. But then it also has smart contract capability for those users who want that capability.
For example, for the adoption phase or the adoption strategy, does it focus on the inside the crypto ecosystem? Like, for example, some blockchains, they would focus outwards. So they would search for people who are really not exposed much to the crypto space or to the blockchain, and then they would bring them into the space. Or is it focused on within the crypto space on convincing like others about the qualities of Quantum?
I guess we've done both. We do a lot of our marketing to the crypto community, trade shows, conferences. We attend things like that, and then some other projects that are more outward facing. One of our current initiatives is through coin market cap community, where we become active in
Their forum, I think, has like a forum or something.
in the forums there. Yeah, so that's a recent development from our marketing team.
So how about the security of Quantum? Is it how does it compare, for example, to something like Ethereum or Bitcoin in terms of because, for example, Bitcoin, people will argue like it's the most decentralized, or like it has a lot of mining, and on the Ethereum side, like for proof of stake currently, they would argue is the proof of stake there is slashing, and there is some security mechanism to ensure like no fraudulent activities on the network or no scamming on the network. So how does Quantum compare, like from the security aspects or the mechanisms it employ to improve the security of the network?
The basic security for the blockchain is all inherited from Bitcoin. So the same code and mechanisms and functions that control private keys and wallets and transaction validation and all of that is taken directly from that fork of Bitcoin, and we keep Quantum up to date with all the upstream developments for Bitcoin. So it wasn't like a fork 5 years ago and then forget about Bitcoin, but our developers are constantly updating Quantum. They're currently working on Bitcoin version 23 to add that. So any security fixes or features that are added to Bitcoin are also added to Quantum fairly quickly by our developers.
The validation model and the smart contracts are only the ones taken from Ethereum, but for the even I think for the validation model, it was previous to Ethereum. You already had the proof of stake, so only the smart contract was Solidity, and then for the security and the infrastructure or like the core development is based on the Bitcoin open source.
Is based on Bitcoin, and then the proof of stake algorithm for consensus was derived from Black Coin, and before that, Pure Coin. So it's has a long history as well for proof of stake consensus.
Interesting. So how do you see the future for Quantum? Like, would it be like because I recently heard like I think maybe last year or so, or maybe two years ago, you had like a hard fork. So do you foresee any big announcement in the future, like for the development, or are you going to continue on the same like model, like for example, upgrading or like matching Bitcoin score and continue on the same trajectory? Or is there any major updates upcoming?
Yeah, we'll continue adding those new features from Bitcoin and Ethereum that we need to, but probably the biggest change now for us and other blockchains is a shift to some new markets, and there's there's two developments that associated projects are developing adjacent to quantum. First one is a company that's developing a metaverse game called Moonland, and that's going to be a multi-chain.
Is it like an earn for play something? An earn for play project?
I'm not sure that there will be some tokens and rewards within the game. It'll be multi-chain, including quantum. That project is very interesting. What they're building out with a virtual metaverse that players can play in, have blockchain objects. There'll be NFTs and other blockchain artifacts for that game. And then another project that started up recently, it will be a layer 2 for quantum, and that project team will develop a bridge, and then a very fast, cheap layer 2. Maybe it's using ZK technology to do very fast, very cheap transactions.
What is ZK technology? What is it? ZK technology? What you just
ZK.
What is it? It's like a coin. You mean Zcash or something different?
ZK Snarks is a way to validate transactions with minimal information exchanged. So there's more calculations, cryptocurrency calculations, that allow zero proof. So you can validate a transaction without providing very much external information about it. So it's thought to be more secure and more private than, say, traditional Bitcoin or quantum transactions.
So in the privacy aspect, quantum is almost like Bitcoin. Is it like, for example, you can see the wallet, can see the transactions, but
yes, exactly. The transactions are, I believe it's called pseudonymous. They're a little bit anonymous, but you can see all the transactions and all the values. You're not sure who is doing it, but it's like Bitcoin in that regard, or I guess like Ethereum, it would be the same.
So for the token itself, why do you think in the initial offering, like it was basically offered as like a limited number, like compared to others, or maybe like unlimited?
Yeah, so again, quantum follows the same model as Bitcoin. There is a maximum capped supply, and every 4 years, the issuance of new coins for the block rewards drops in half. So quantum has had one halving now. Our inflation rate for those block rewards is very low compared to other chains. So it's around 0.5%. Yes. And that will drop down every 4 years. It becomes lower.
Very nice. Yeah. I think in that regard, actually, it's better than Bitcoin currently, because Bitcoin is still haven't reached yet that level. Like it's on track, but maybe it's not as low, because I think it's almost 2% or 1 point something for Bitcoin.
Yes, most blockchains are higher, and that was one thing that Ethereum changed with their new fee architecture. Yes. Previously, Ethereum had an uncapped supply,
but right now, even though they have the burning, they still like technically uncapped, because you don't know, like there's not a definitive number. Because for example, Luna. Like if you heard about it, like there was a blockchain that had basically went into hyperinflation. So yes, in the beginning, everyone was trusting that the protocol would just issue like a certain number of inflation, or like a range of inflation. But then it's because it's uncapped in the code itself, this might change at any time. So it's always safer, I feel, at least like when the coin have a limited fixed number. So interesting. But do you think this is not going to hinder, for example, because for Ethereum, some would argue that when you have higher inflation, people will be spending it more. And definitely Ethereum people are spending it more, but maybe not only for this reason. But what do you think it's not going to hinder, like, for example, adoption of quantum? Or it's not related? What do you think?
No, I think our issuance schedule, which follows a pattern of Bitcoin, is very solid. It's very understandable. I've blogged about it. We have a maximum cap supply. and everyone knows that there'll only ever be 108 million quantum. Well, people that have studied it, the same number used for Bitcoin is 21 million. You know, there'll only ever be 21 million Bitcoin.
So
There's a few million lost.
Also, like at least a bit more flexible, maybe because the number is a bit bigger.
Perhaps, yeah.
You have like a same decimal numbers. I think for Bitcoin there is like the Satoshi, so there's like 100 million for each Bitcoin. Satoshis, like a division, like how you divide it. So one bit. So there's like a similar big division ability for quantum.
Same exact mechanism for quantum. Yeah. So there are 100 million Satoshis
Also
in one quantum. Yeah, we use the same reference to.
If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there anywhere where people can follow your updates and also quantum updates? You mentioned you have a blog. Shout it out.
Sure. The blog is at.
You can also send me the links. I'll link it in the description.
Yeah, that might be better. I'll send you a couple of links that will give that info. Yeah, we blog on Medium. Also, I'll reference our new Coin Market Cap site and our Twitter, which is at QTUM.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for your time today. Yeah, have a nice
Okay, thanks for your time. Take care.